Hello, welcome, Yasu and hi. My name is Tai Kölner, and I'm an author, I'm a black magician, a student of the left-hand Order Dragon Rouge, and I'm an empath. Today's topic will be autodidacts, armchair magician, and practitioners. Um, it has been a while that I see these groups fighting each other, disputing, competing, and as you know me, I always try to not to rate people because if I see myself, I know how much I was mistaken about myself. So how should I rate others about this? And especially this topic is it is three ways of qualities, and this way I want to cast the light on that. But also, I'm not a representative of the Order Dragon Rouge. It is an essential part of my work, but if you want to know something about the order, visit their webpage. I am just representing my own work here. So, and if you want to stay updated, of course, make sure subscribe the channel so you get informed. If you switch on the notifications as well, you get informed on every video I do. So today's topic is the differences between these groups. And let's start about the armchair magician. That's like, bullying when people say, that's an armchair magician. This basically implies somebody who has a big library and a huge knowledge about books you never have seen in your life. And when you get there and say, okay, I got an entity here and I wonder if it is connected to this entity or if there is another older root, or this one most likely will be able to tell you, I got a book and I will check for you. And then maybe 2 days later, this one comes back to you and says, okay, wait, this entity is in Sumeria, was named like that, and then it was in the Gnostics times, and later on you find it in this or that culture, and even today, if you look into Kabbalah, it's this way, because they just have a huge knowledge about whatever was written. And you will never be able in your entire lifetime to read all these books this one did read. So it is a blessing to know somebody who is such a bookworm. Of course, armchair magician is a bullying because it implies that this one is just sitting there with a book in a hand and reading all the day, but doing nothing, just reading, like a fantasy books. This is a prejudice. The other thing is no, let's start on the practitioner first. The second one is the practitioner, a ceremonial magician. Can be somebody who is involved in a circle or who has a direct mentor or is involved, in any kind of magical practice work. So he's educated by somebody around and he did learn how to do the ritual, what robe to wear, what candles to use, what incenses to use, what spells to use, or what invocations to use. So it is a very structured way of practicing magic. Probably this one didn't read much books, but this one is a rock when it comes to structured magical work. And the beneficial thing on this kind of working is that all the rituals you are doing are tried and tested. So the risk of failure is relatively low. It has been done for 1,000 years or 100 years by plenty people, And so if you're practicing like they do in this framed, structured, organized way, you can expect that you got a really good chance to success on your ritual. On the other hand, they are not that flexible to just say, let's do it another way. And this is what an autodidact does. It is more an ethnological way of working. So these are mostly people who are not connected to a circle, a coven, an order. So in other words, it's free flyings or hermits. They work just by their own, and they do their rituals as they think to do it right. So they probably did not read much books about, maybe one or two or three books, and they do not involve into groups, so they cannot check back about their results. They are just doing their own thing. Okay, I will get into this later, but this is basically the three differences between this. And as said, this is much pre-justice. So, to name them so. Um, if I get together this, I directly think about a triangle. And triangle, in Christianity, it's Father, Son, Holy Ghost, or it's for example, the symbol of fire. If you get onto fire, you get back to Kundalini again. And also this symbol, you can do it, you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. Otherwise, I was exercised on do it this way back then. But it all has one similarity. You got three sides. So you got a thesis, and you have an antithesis, and you have a synthesis. So you got a theory and its backside, so its counterpart, and you got a kind of a merging. And back then, when I was working on runes, long before I did start on occult works, my mentor did explain to me there's three sides of focusing when you're meditating. You got all the three sides together, and in the middle, it reunites. All three sides reunite in the middle. And this is basically the essence you are searching for. You're not searching for the thesis itself. You are not searching for the antithesis or for the merging of it. You're trying to give birth to something very new in the middle of this triangle. And now if you get about this, if you take the so-called armchair magician with his huge knowledge, and if you take the practitioner with his really skilled abilities in ritual ceremonial magic, and if you take the radical aspect of the autodidact, you get a really powerful magic. And this is why we should work together. I always say we learn from each others, because now imagine you did do your magical work all your time alone. So you did develop techniques nobody else knows. And you did develop new ways of working. Maybe they work. And maybe you found hidden paths or hidden crossroads, which are still unknown today. And then you find connections between other people's workings and your freestyle workings. It's not about chaos magic. It's about your own developments in working magically. So And then you're taking these aspects of your own evolutionary workings and put it together with a so-called armchair magician way of learning, so the academic way of learning. You read books about your topic and you really dig into and you try to swallow these books. Then you can combine the already known with the knowledge of generations. Of course, you cannot get everything into it, so it makes sense to also get contact to people who are really much into books, of course, because probably they got an idea about things you didn't even know about that they are existing. On the other side, the armchair magician is told to not have a blink about practice magic, and so you would be a very good add to each others, to work together, to reflect together, to discuss together. And then there is a practitioner who is standing right between this. He knows how to do. And maybe you are telling something you were doing, and the armchair magician is telling, oh, I did not read about yet. It must be something new. And the magical practitioner says, I wouldn't do so because in my practice, when we do so, then it is happening this. And so you get the practitioner and the book knowledge together with the autodidactic approach. This is beneficial to an autodidact magician. Now let's turn this triangle a little bit and let's say the armchair magician, as I did already peek into. The armchair magician did use a huge amount of time reading these books, but maybe he shies a little bit to get into public, to get into a circle, into a group working together. He's more safe when reading it, maybe, but if you don't do it in practice, you are not able to test your knowledge. So, in contact with a practitioner, he can check what he did read about. And in a contact with an autodidact, he can check his book written knowledge to knowledge unwritten. So that's beneficial to an armchair magician too, so-called, because there is coming not a conservative, but a fresh-born knowledge, a fresh-born approach, and there is coming a tested approach, which is accompanying the delivered knowledge from books which were written maybe 10 years ago, or 50 years, or 100 years ago. So, and now we turn it a little more around and we get the practitioner. The practitioner knows how to do it, but probably he doesn't dare to change something because he does not know the result. He does not know what is coming out if he does just change it. If he just takes another color, use another word, use another invocation, use another day of practicing, and so he's not that flexible. And an autodidact could be a very good approach, a very good addition to his work, because he could discuss about the goal of his ritual, and he would get a totally different variant of practicing from an autodidact, and also another side of practicing. So if you just take something the autodidact did to check for himself what was working, and he can integrate it into a ritual already existing, it's like a novation to rituals which are used for centuries, but of course they did not grow further. If everyone is just working by book, it doesn't grow further. So it would be an evolution within these centuries to grow further, maybe. And maybe you get another crosslink to open up other possibilities, other entities, other places, whatever, just by combining these two directions. So, and to the practitioner, the armchair occultist is a very great at as well, because if you only got one circle or one group of people working, it's not everywhere, but in some circles it's quite a narrow frame. They have like a frame of believing systems of certain books they are reading, and if you would say, here you got a Bible, or here you get a Sannyasin book, or here you get something about neuro, medical, whatever book, or about nutrition and how it affects the body, and they probably say, okay, none of my topic. That's fair and fine, but you cut your knowledge, because it does not matter what religion did unfold a technique. The only thing what is important to a magician is, does it work? And so if a practitioner only uses his rituals in practice, then an armchair magician can tell you, wait, you could also take a ritual from this or that culture and integrate it into your practice. It's basically the same, just another time. Or it's the same entity, just another time. And so you probably get better results if you get into another practice or if you combine them. But the practitioner is used to do it. He not necessarily knows where to get the information about. So back to this differing and competing, I think we really should open-minded exchange, because it is fruitful to every one of us. And in the end, to be honest, magic practice is just effective if it is effective. And it should not be blocked by framing yourself. So get into communication, ask each other, and moreover, be respectful to each other's. There is no one better or worse just because of being more practicing, or the other being more reading, or being more testing and experimenting like a pioneer. Basically, we should be all of this. We ourselves should be all of this, because everything gives a link to the other one. And in the end, the connection between all these three is helping you to grow, to understand, to get an evolution in your own magical work. So I'm not competing about. I can test the magical structure, and I can probably say, okay, it's not working for me. But this would never mean that I have to convince another one to do it my way, because there is no right or wrong. There is just an exchange, test, try, work, read, study, and never stop learning. Also, never stop practicing, never stop daring. This for today, and bye bye for now.